Your brain does not want you to succeed. Not one bit. What it deeply cares about more than anything else is predictability. Because predictability means safety. And safety means your survival. This sounds extreme. I know. But your brain has evolved to survive in more threatening times. And the times we're living in now, especially if you're watching this video, they're not very threatening. Your safety is not at risk all the time. So every time you do something in your life to improve your situation, like picking up a new habit or trying a new skill or approaching some good-looking stranger, your brain treats it as a threat. And when it does this, it works against you and not for you. So let's discuss how you can rewire your brain to work for you and not against you when you're trying to do things and make progress in your life to improve your situation. As I've discussed in many other videos, there's a giant mismatch between what your brain and nervous system are wired for and how the modern world is set up. And as I mentioned, when you try new things and try to improve your life in certain ways, your brain detects that as a threat because it's unfamiliar. And unfamiliar to your primal, ancient brain and nervous system means your safety and your survival is at stake. Logically, you know that unfamiliarity and new situations don't necessarily mean danger. But your subconscious mind, which regulates your nervous system, doesn't understand logic. And this is why you experience self-sabotage and procrastination. This is why you feel stuck. To us, that's a terrible thing. You want to live your best life. You want to grow and experience these new things that are beneficial for you. But your nervous system and your subconscious mind just thinks it's trying to protect you. It thinks by keeping you stuck via procrastination and overthinking and self-sabotage, then you're actually better off than doing that hard thing that would improve your life. And this behavior is so deeply wired. You can put up a fight and try your best to win against your nervous system and your subconscious mind, but you're not going to win. But you can manipulate your neurochemistry. You can manipulate it in ways that actually help you and not fight against you when you're trying to succeed with new things you're doing in life. The first thing you're going to want to do is engineer your dopamine. This is the neurotransmitter that is released when you're in pursuit of something, when you have this big goal, this meaningful thing you're working towards, and you're taking those actions day by day. When you feel great as you do that work, when you feel great right after you've accomplished a deep work session of 30 to 45 minutes. You're like, all right, let's go. I've made progress. I have momentum. I'm feeling amazing. But it's also that feeling you get when you're scrolling social media, when subconsciously you're thinking that next post might be better than the one now. Or when you're at the casino and you pull that lever and you win, and then you pull it again and you lose, and you pull it again and you keep losing over and over and over, but your brain thinks, well, that next pull might be the one I hit. So going back to how you can use this to your advantage and engineer your dopamine, what I like to do is start my day off with a few small wins. Things like making my bed, things like cleaning my room. These are activities that we do all the time, but many of us just do them on autopilot. We don't think about them at all. But when you can become consciously aware of those actions you do within the morning, those quick wins, you can gamify the situation. You can build momentum this way. Because you're like, okay, well, did I make my bed? Check. Did I take a shower? Check. Did I brush my teeth? Check. Did I brew coffee and eat breakfast? Check. Treat them as wins, not just monotonous daily activities you do without much thought. Doing so creates momentum, and when you have momentum, you can do much more challenging and meaningful things at an easier rate. The things like making your bed, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, making breakfast, these trigger a microdopamine hit. And your brain begins to associate these things with wins, and those wins with momentum, and that momentum with progress within your life. And once you have momentum and you've built progress in doing more meaningful and challenging tasks, then your brain associates that progress and all those small wins with pleasure and not pain. So for example, let's say you write content every day. You're trying to build your social media audience with your posts, but you wake up one day and you're like, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to write. I know I have to write, but I just don't want to. Then you're going to have a hard time performing at your best. You're going to have a hard time locking in, getting in that zone and achieving that peak flow state where you're writing effortlessly. But if you can stack a few wins on top of each other before you get into the writing process, then you're working with your neurochemistry. You're engineering your dopamine, and this is powerful. The second thing you can do is train your norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is another name for adrenaline. Think of this as the alertness and focus chemical that's released when you're in certain situations. An example of this would be when you're engaging with a task that's a little beyond your comfort level. You're focused, you're alert, you're kind of on edge, but you're not totally anxious. You're primed and you're ready, and you know that you can tackle whatever it is you gotta tackle. In these moments, your brain releases norepinephrine, or adrenaline, and this pumps you up. It keeps you eager and ready to go. So to train this, to influence your neurochemistry and get norepinephrine working for you, here's what you can do. So what you want to do is pick a meaningful task. This is something that will move the needle forward within your life. This could be going to the gym. This could be cooking a healthy meal. This could be doing deep work with your business. And once you've picked that task, what you want to do is set yourself a timer and set it for a few minutes shorter than what you think this task would take you to complete. So for example, when I record these videos in the past, they would take 25 to 30 minutes. I would make a lot of mistakes. I would have to clear my throat and I'd stumble over my words. But these days, my videos are about 10, 15 minutes typically. And what I'll tell myself is, okay, you will record this video in no more than 20 minutes. So what this does is it collapses the timeline and it forces me to perform even better than what I did before. And this is what it'll do for you as well. This releases that norepinephrine, that adrenaline, so you're primed, you're energized, you're focused, you're alert, you're eager, you're kind of on edge. You're not quite nervous and you're not overwhelmed, but this neurochemical release allows you to perform at your best. And once that timer goes off and you've completed your task, then take a break. Just 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, step away completely. After your break, come back and do it again. Of course, it can be a different task, but if you have the same task and you're just trying to build on it even more, like you're writing a 5-page paper and you've only written 1 page in those 25 minutes, and now you gotta write that second page, then this is exactly what you can do. This works because you don't wanna always be feeling that big adrenaline rush. You wanna be able to take a step back, let your norepinephrine, that adrenaline go back to baseline, relax yourself, and then go back. So using these short but intense focus blocks when you're doing deep and meaningful work that's a little bit challenging for you, this trains your nervous system to get used to the feeling of experiencing that adrenaline rush, of intensely focusing on whatever it is you gotta do without entering that danger zone that many people experience when they work for 5 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours straight without taking a break. Eventually, your mind will get used to the feeling of dropping back into that zone where norepinephrine does spike a little bit, and you'll begin to enjoy it. Because when it's paired with dopamine, and when it's paired with making progress on whatever that meaningful task is, you're pumped up, you're eager, you're ready to continue doing what you gotta do. And since your brain gets used to this, the more you do it, the less likely you are to experience procrastination or overwhelm or self-sabotage moving forward. The third way you can influence your neurochemistry to work on your side instead of against you is by utilizing serotonin. Think of serotonin as the satisfaction and safety neurochemical that's released. It regulates your emotions and it influences many of your behaviors on a day-to-day basis. Something my clients have found to be very useful is showing gratitude every day and every night. They do this either in a journal or in a meditation or just while going about their morning routine. The thing is, we get so caught in the cycle of responsibilities we have as adults in this modern world. We don't often take the time to step back and reflect and gain clarity and truly appreciate what it is we're appreciative for. But with gratitude, you are deliberately and consciously becoming aware of those things that you're truly appreciative for. You can, as I said, journal them out. You can speak them out loud. You can think them in your head. I find it more effective to verbally say it out loud, even if you're alone, because it's like, why not, right? And when you do this right when you wake up and right before you go to bed, you're communicating with your subconscious mind. I say this because right when you wake up, your brainwaves are slowly transitioning from theta to alpha to beta. Beta is the brainwave state you and I experience for most of the day. Alpha is that in-between state where you're kind of hazy, you just woke up, or when you're just about to go to bed, and your brain is kind of drifting away. When you wake up, the first thing you want to do is go through some of the things you're truly grateful for. It could be your health, it could be your parents, it could be your living situation, it could be your thinking abilities, your clothes, whatever it is. This influences your baseline serotonin levels because as time goes on, as you do this day after day after day, you get used to it and you begin going to bed and waking up in this elevated mood. When you can speak directly to the subconscious mind, which of course oversees the nervous system, which oversees many of your bodily functions, then you can significantly increase your serotonin levels. And when your serotonin levels are naturally higher than before and they're stable at that level, then your brain and nervous system isn't as put off and scared by new and potentially threatening situations. These new things you're trying to do in order to improve your life, they're no longer threats. They're exciting challenges that can actually move your life forward. Your nervous system has been primed and it knows that, okay, we can handle this. We're eager, we're excited to make progress and help you achieve this. A brain that feels safe is a brain that lets you take risks and grow. Look, your brain wants to keep you safe. That's a given. But safety in the modern world looks more like stagnation and a lack of progress. And for high achievers, for smart people, for aspiring entrepreneurs and business people, stagnation is a slow death. The only way to truly feel safe in the modern world while doing those tough and challenging things that'll actually propel you forward is to learn how to regulate your nervous system. And you can do this by influencing your neurochemistry with some of the activities that I mentioned here. You can't fight your brain, you can't fight your nervous system, but you can influence your neurochemistry. Leverage it to work for you and not against you. If you do these practices consistently, your nervous system will adjust. Your brain will begin to perceive these new and challenging situations as exciting, as opportunities to grow and improve as a person. It all starts with understanding how your mind works, leveraging neurochemistry to work with you and not against you, and taking consistent action. It's as simple as that, and you can start this today. So, I appreciate you watching. Thank you. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who you think would really enjoy this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.